with us. Fascinating situation unfurling there. We now stay in the United States for our next story, where US President Donald Trump plans to sign an executive order to rename the Department of Defense as the Department of War. This has come from a White House official. The order will authorize Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and the Defense Department to use secondary titles such as Secretary of War and also the Department of War in official correspondence and public communications, according to a White House fact sheet. The US Department of Defense was called the War Department until the year of 1949, when Congress consolidated the Army, Navy and Air Force in the wake of World War II. The change would require Defense Secretary Hegseth to suggest the necessary legislative and executive actions to permanently rename the department. Renaming the department will be costly and require updating signs and letterheads used not only by officials at the Pentagon, but also military installations around the world. Since taking office in January, Trump has set out to rename a range of places and institutions. This includes renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America and to restoring the original names of military bases that were changed after racial justice protests. We're once again joined by Spencer Critchley. Spencer, we have just said that Donald Trump has renamed things before, one of the obvious one being this Gulf of America from the Gulf of Mexico. But this one seems a little bit more aggressive. Someone who wants a Nobel Peace Prize to be doing this. What are your thoughts on it?
Yes, Trump winning a Nobel Peace Prize. I don't think, since you mentioned it, I don't think the Nobel Prize Committee is going to commit reputational suicide on its part anytime soon by giving somebody like Donald Trump a Nobel Peace Prize. This idea of the Department of War, I think you're right to compare it to the Gulf of America and these other renamings. On the one hand, it's embarrassing. It's so childish. It shows such a shallow fixation on the surfaces of things that occupies so much of Trump's time. He has time every day to comment on showbiz personalities and conduct these rebranding campaigns. On the other hand, it's also very serious, as was the renaming of US military installations back to follow the naming conventions dating from the Civil War and the post-Civil War effort to rehabilitate the reputation of the slaveholding South. What that means is naming US military installations after traitors who attempted to overthrow the government of the United States in order to defend slavery. Similarly, renaming the Defense Department as the Department of War on the one hand is ridiculous and strictly performative, but on the other hand, there's a very important distinction between a Department of Defense and a Department of War, and it's of a piece with this belligerent and illegal, I would say, attack we've just seen in Venezuela. And
yes,
it might feel good to be belligerent this way, but it's ultimately entirely counterproductive. And once again, I have to emphasize, the strength of the United States is only partially based on the size of its military and its economy, and neither of those can ever be big enough to compensate for the potential global loss of trust and regard in and for the United States.
Spencer Critchley, thank you very much for